Is that that's something many Nigerians will probably be wanting to get clarification on? Is that something Nigerians should be worried about at all?
No, I don't think this is the right time to discuss this, but let me say that if we have to implement capital development in our country, and we don't have the funds readily available because we face crisis of revenue, we don't generate enough revenue, we don't collect enough of the revenue that we should ordinarily collect, generate and collect. The ultimate and alternative would be to see another source of funding. We could go for public-private partnership, we could go for borrowing, but I want to assure you that whatever request that will come to the National Assembly for borrowing, we must as a National Assembly ensure that such funds, when borrowed, will be applied on capital projects for development of the country. So I don't want to jump the gun because the Minister of Finance will make the details available. We are yet to see what it is. But I want to assure you that once it is in the interest of the people of Nigeria, the National Assembly will work on that. If, however, we have issues, then we will say so, that we must apply such funds strictly on capital development of our country. I can't say more than that.
Can we just add to what the President just said? The issue of borrowing. Let us first all agree that we're running a deficit. Let's all agree that we're running a deficit budget. When you're running a deficit budget, you have to make up for that shortfall somehow, some way. And that's what happens in all the advanced democracies. So if we can agree that, first of all, for a country to develop and to have an ambitious development plan, it's almost inevitable that you borrow. I think what is important is, what are you borrowing for? How do you apply the borrowed funds? It's not the borrowing, it's the application of the borrowed funds. Is it towards productivity, or is it just for overheads and the rest of that? And that's where the National Assembly comes in. And I heard you left out a part of Mr. President's statement. I heard him say clearly that the CSOs should also cooperate on this matter. He talked about their conditions precedent. He talks about transparency regarding the borrowed funds, and so those are the things that we need to look out for. Where is this money going to? Is it transparently and judiciously expended? And I believe the answer clearly is yes. Because how do you, if you do not have money to inject into the system based on revenue or revenue profile, and you want to develop, how do you do it? So you're straight-jacketed into, it's going to affect everybody. So again, great question, but the answer is very clearly, where is this money going into? America borrows, everybody borrows, South Africa borrows, but the question is they're borrowing towards something, and that's exactly what we're going to do in 2021.
It's one of the legislative agenda item of our two chambers that we reverse the budget cycle from that unpredictable budget cycle that was in the 8th and even before the 8th National Assembly to January to December, which we have been able to achieve in the 2020 budget. There was an earlier request by Mr. President that the implementation of the 2020 appropriation bill be extended to the first quarter of 2021. That was because even though funds were released to MDS for the last quarter of the 2021 Appropriation Act, but because the time has been consumed by the COVID closure or lockdown, the MDS needed to have an extension of time to enable them expend and implement those projects that the funds were released for. The National Assembly granted that, and now the 2021 first quarter implementation will start from 1st January 2021, and the 2020 appropriation bill will also continue from January up to 31st March. That means there will be a lot of activities of government, especially in the capital, implementation. Pari passu, the 2020 up to 31st March, and of course the 2021 running concurrently. This is going to inject massive capital, massive funds into our economy. You know why we had a very minimal, so let me say minimal, impact of the COVID in our economy? It was because we started to implement our 2020 budget from January 2020. You can imagine if the implementation of such a budget had started mid-year, the crisis, the economic recession would have been deeper.
Apart from investor confidence, both local and foreign, the cumulative effect is what we can see. It's from that. It's not me, it's not him, it's not the members, it's actually the people out there. We all talk about dividends of democracy. There cannot be dividends of democracy if there's no instrument to back it up. And that's that instrument that has just been signed into law. So we're all very appreciative of what has been achieved, and we intend to continue that as we go along. The collaboration and the cooperation and the partnership between the executive and the legislature is exactly, this is what you get from it. If there is no cooperation, if there is no partnership, as long as it's in the interest of the country, like of the nation, like you said, then we're not our democracy is going to be fractured. It's going to be in bumps and hops, and we're just not going to get anywhere fast. So we're glad that this has happened, and like the president rightly said, it's all about us. Government is all about everybody. It's not about the legislature, it's not about the executive. The president said it clearly. He said we also need the cooperation of the civil societies. He asked the agencies and the ministries to also cooperate, because that's another arm of government. That's another check and balance.